Hey, Brad.
Hello.
Chelsea is not on here yet?
Don't see her.
Okay.
Very backlit in this room, but
Okay. All right. The script was up 2 seconds ago. Okay. I'm calling to order this meeting of the Boston Landmarks Commission Design Review Committee on Tuesday, July 22, 2025 at 5:03 p.m. And present are Commissioners Walker, Orlando, and Haney. Also, the BLC staff on the call would be Joe Cornish, Elizabeth Sherva, and Chelsea Blanchard. So you can participate in this hearing by going to the Zoom meeting link posted on our agenda online at zoom.us/j/986-922-00856 or by calling 301-715-8592 and entering meeting ID number 986-922-00856. You may also submit written comments to us via email at blc@boston.gov. So in accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, including the March 28, 2025 amendment, extending the suspension of these provisions until June 30, 2027, we're conducting this meeting online to ensure public access to the deliberations of the BLC. The public may access this call through telephone and video conferencing. The hearing is being recorded. All conversations between commissioners should be audible to the public in attendance until the hearing has been adjourned. And at this point, we ask if there are any media or elected officials present on the Zoom call. If you could identify yourselves by raising your hand in the Zoom platform and stating your name, title, and affiliation.
No one that I see.
Okay, so we'll go on to our one and only application. And that is application 25.0966. This is at 539 Washington Street, the Keith Memorial Theater, or otherwise known as the Boston Opera House. And it's regarding review of the proposed signage designation scope or digitization scope for the BF Keith Memorial Theater. The intention is to replace the two blade signs with digitized banners and to digitize the front of the existing marquee. So if the applicant is present, you can introduce yourself and get started.
I think it's Mary. Or Albert. Okay.
Hi, I'm Albert Rex with Ryan. I also have with me Mary Nastasi, who put the application in. We're here on behalf of our client, the Citizens Opera House, and we appreciate the opportunity to discuss in a preliminary nature the idea of digitizing signage on the Opera House. And I believe we have a presentation to show you.
I'm going to stop my share so that you guys can share.
Okay, I think Mary's got the presentation as I don't have it.
Yes, I can
Oh, no problem.
it up.
There's Mary. And let's see, I have particular interest in this issue, actually. I was the organizer of the Boston Historic Theater Charrette in 1996, so I'm dating myself a little bit, which is noted in the study report. So I've been very involved with the Opera House, the Paramount, and the Modern. The event was sponsored by the Boston Preservation Alliance and the National Trust for Historic Preservation in conjunction with the mayor's office. And Mayor Menino, rightfully so, took a big focus on Lower Washington Street and the need to revive these three theaters. And that was the same time that he was also working to develop the vacant lot that became the hotel down there. And so Mary, do we have the presentation to put up?
Yes, sorry, just give me 1 second. It might ask you to share a window. There's a tab at the top. I don't know. All these things are so different.
While Mary's getting that set up,
Mary, I do have it pulled up and I can share it.
thanks,
Oh,
Liz. You can go to the next
There you
slide.
go.
all right,
Yeah.
there we go.
So here we are looking at the Opera House. Next slide, or next page, please. Everyone here, I think, knows about the Opera House. It was originally the B.F. Keith or Benjamin Franklin Keith Memorial Theater, and then it became the Savoy Theater when it turned to a movie house, and then the Boston Opera House in the 1970s, and then it became the Citizens Opera House a few years ago. Before that, it had been restored by Pace Theatrics in the late 90s, early 2000s. And that is when the landmark designation took place. It was part of the theater district and then individually designated in May of 1999. It originally opened in 1928. And, you know, if you've been in there, you know, Lamb's design really focused on this very narrow facade and then, you know, essentially walking back into larger and larger spaces until you had that aha moment of actually being into the lobby and then into the performance space. Next slide, please. We just wanted to go through a few photos just to talk about this. Now, the study report in 1999 did not allow for digitization and had some specific language, which I think we have in here, regarding lighted signs and other pieces. And we just wanted to walk through the fact that, you know, lighted signs have been an important component of the theater district and of this theater itself for a very long time. Obviously, this is an image from 1934 when it was the RKO Keith. The K in RKO pictures actually, you know, started for Keith. It was Radio Keith Orpheum when it was back then as a vaudeville theater. But this gives you a sense of the bijou next door, looking up to the modern on the right. Next slide, please. This is another image of the theater circa 1938, so about 4 or 5 years later. It is hard to find the facade, to be honest, behind all of the material that is up here. Again, the need for signage on the theater is well documented, and here we have another image of this. Next slide, please. Again, here's a 1945 image, so the signage has been pulled back a little bit. You will see that there is still signage on the adjacent Paramount. At this point, obviously, neon had been introduced, so the B.F. Keith sign and the Paramount sign are neon signs. Next slide, please. This is just to give you a sense of the street and the signage adjacent to it. You can almost see the Keith
So
there.
another example from the 50s. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of historic images here showing the evolution of the signage on the building and showing that there's always been a pretty
So this
signage.
one on the left, you can barely see it, but it does show the change of the main lit sign to a different type of light sign, and by 1950, more of a blade sign on the building. This is going back in the 53, lovely Ginger Rogers production happening here at that point, and a lot of signage up and down Washington Street. Next slide, please. And you can barely see the modern here and the Keith on the left. Again, another blade sign sticking straight up. It says RKO at the top there on the upper left-hand corner, and then Keith below. And then moving into the 50s and through the 50s, we can keep moving through these signage images. Keep going. And this is a 1954, 55. You can actually go back to that sign. This is like the last iteration in going to the 50s into the 60s. Next, please. This is the existing signage and the proposal, which is currently there are 2 double-sided vertical nylon banners, a digitized side marquee and a backlit side marquee. The 3-sided marquee obviously has a small amount of digitization on the side, but is not digitized on the front. And the banners on the side obviously are more traditional vertical nylon banners that have to be put up for each show. Next slide, please. The challenge of the venue of being not illuminated, theaters, as everybody knows, I think, theaters only make money when they're lit. And so the goal with the Opera House, Citizens Bank Opera House, is to obviously have it lit as many nights as possible. Um, it's hard to see when it's not lit at night, especially with these blade signs. They're not illuminated. It really does kind of fade in the background. It's not a large facade. It somewhat gets lost. And obviously, the other component of this, there's been many upgrades to signage along the time period of the other theaters in the historic theater district that have now gone to more electric or LED type signs. There's been a significant change in signage, as everybody knows. If you look at anything like Fenway Park or a baseball stadium, they've all have these jumbotrons that are much updated, but still kind of fall into the historic character of the building. Similarly, signage has changed throughout the theater district relative to the ability to have much more narrow blade signs. One of the challenges here is that it costs about $2,500 for printing and $2,500 for each of those for material for each of those signs. So it's about $5,000 at changeover in those blade signs. It also requires our client to get a permit from ISD, and it also requires them obviously have a lift out there to change that sign. So the turnover can be rather expensive at $5,000 plus the time it takes them. And if they're doing a show that's only a week long and then they have to turn it over at the end of the week, it creates a lot of logistical issues relative to being able to promote what's coming next. They expect turnover next year, a changeover. These signs happen about 13 times. So they're going to be spending, $65,000 on, this signage piece. Again, an expense that they'd rather not have and would prefer to be able to electronically program these signs to both represent what's happening at the theater that evening, but potentially what are happening in future ballets. They can update, and they do not update the Boston Ballet component of it because of the nature of the ballet. It's basically a static sign, so they use the same sign every year. And if the ballet is doing a different presentation besides the Nutcracker, there's no ability to change that. Next, please. So this is just giving a view down the street to get a sense of the existing signs. As you can see, depending on the nature of the event in there and the colors utilized the signs, they are very difficult to see as opposed to the modern or the Paramount. Next sign, please. Slide, please. This is a little closer up, a little block closer. Still not able to automatically read what's happening there at the Citizens Opera House. Next slide, please. This is looking back. You get a good sense of how the Paramount electrification works. Obviously, the Paramount has this large, what used to be historically a neon sign, is no longer a neon sign that they operate, but they do have this signboard that allows for announcements and other things of what's happening in the theater itself, but also the neighborhood as well. Next, please. And then this is at night, and this is where, it really disappears. Any amount of uplighting doesn't really help very much with the setting. As you can see on the left, you can see the Paramount and the Modern again. You can see the uplit Suffolk sign. And yes, we're a little distance away, but it's just really difficult to uplight the two nylon signs as much. And even the actual marquee itself is not easy to see relative to the other signs in the district. And on the right, if you're looking closer in, if you're walking down the same side of the sidewalk as you would be as the theater is, the sign pretty much just disappears. Next, please. There are 7 theaters in the Boston Theater District that are listed in the National Register or have current Boston local landmark status. 4 have digitized signs. Here are the theaters. Obviously, we just talked about the B.F. Keith Citizens Opera House, the Cutler Majestic, which has an interior and exterior landmark designation, the Wilbur, the Bach, or formerly the Wang, and the Schubert, Emerson Colonial, Paramount, Modern Theater, and Bijou Theater. And you can see that the 4, the Wilbur, the Schubert, the Majestic, and the Colonial all have operable digitized signage currently. So we think there is a precedent within the district for being able to utilize digitized signage. This is just we'll just go through some quick examples of the digitized signage. This is the Majestic on the left. I actually can't tell which one is on the right there. Um,
The Wilbur.
Thank you. And then if you continue to the next, I believe there's a couple more images here, again, of the Schubert, the Box Center, and then the Emerson Majestic. I think the things that notice about all these signs is that the ability to present something that's operable on it makes a big difference from a visibility perspective. If you look at the Box Center in the center, obviously, you get a much better sense of what the digitized signage can do at night and how images can be used to promote what's ever happening in the theater itself. Next, please. Except this is from the exerted landmark standards and criteria. As I noted, lighting of the marquee shall be evaluated for specific use intended, but generally illumination of a sign shall not dominate illumination of the building. Implementation of a banner system for the temporary advertisement of current theatrical production shall be subject to commission review, specifically in regard to banner placement, height, orientation, size, method of attachment, and design. Supplementary illumination may be added where appropriate to the current use of the building as a landmark architectural night lighting is recommended. I think, again, if you think about the fact that this was written in 1999, I don't think we understood as a community, architecture or otherwise, the advances that would happen in the signage to allow a production of a sign that could be very thin, very eloquently done, well maintained, that would still not negatively impact the facade of the building. I think the mounting of these signs are actually very similar to the nylon signs that are currently up there relative to the ability to mount it not directly in the terracotta, but through the joints themselves. The signs themselves just don't have as significant width or depth to them as they would have historically. So we think that the addition of these signs would be in keeping with the evolution of the district, despite the fact that in 1999, 20 some odd years ago, that we did not project the idea that we could actually be able to do this. Next, please. So we're really seeking advisory review for this digitization. We thought it was important to come in first, obviously, to go through the reasoning behind this. We wanted you to understand what our goals were relative to being able to light these signs and the impact it does have, both financially and physically. Obviously, as I said earlier, we like to keep the lights on as many nights as possible, and this is certainly effective. Our client did not want to go forward, obviously, without support of the Landmark Commission. These signs are not inexpensive, and we would like some feedback relative to obviously the ability to do this from a permission perspective, as well as the ability to what there might be concerns from a design perspective, so that we could come back with something to the commission that would be thoughtful and effective. Obviously, we want to be in alignment with the neighborhood theaters. We really want to be able to promote current and forthcoming productions. As I noted, we think they can be much more thoughtfully designed than ever from a historic perspective. We think it would elevate the beginning of the theater district on this part of Washington Street, and we also think it would honor the architectural and historical character of the building and the larger Washington Street Theater District. And I think this is a last slide is really just to give you a sense of scale of what we're thinking. So the interior face of the banners will be backlit and static, something like 4.2 feet wide and about 18 feet tall. So you can see the outline here of what that we have existing, and the digitization of the exterior face of the banners with LEDs, approximately 4 millimeters pitch, is about 4 feet 2 inches wide and 18 feet tall. So similar size. The digitization of the marquee with the LED board would be about 3 feet tall and about 20 feet wide, which is essentially would fall within the existing marquee as you see it. And I think that's in broad strokes. Again, we're looking for some feedback relative to the ability to do this in the first place, based on the way the landmark designation was written, and then also additional feedback if there's any concerns that we could address as we go sign shopping, for lack of a better description, and bring back to the commission suggested ideas we would have a much better understanding, obviously, of our ability to connect it then, what the lumens would be, all the different things that would come in and putting signage together. We just don't know that at this moment. And I don't know if our client would like to say anything. I think Maggie's here, who is the GM of the Citizens Opera House, and who has been working with us to put the signage forward.
Everyone, thank you for your time tonight. Apologies, the camera won't let me, for some reason, turn on my camera, but just wanted to say thank you, Albert. I think you summed up our position, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer anything that you think might be helpful.
Thanks, Maggie. So we're happy to answer any additional questions, David.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So what I'm trying to understand is in this photo here on the right, on the left, what the Boston Ballet sign and the Opera House sign, as you see it here, the graphic, is
Yep.
that a rendering of what the new digital sign would look like, or is that the photograph of the banner that exists?
That's the photograph of the existing banner, just to give you a sense of scale and massing.
David, I'm gonna suggest we've gotten into the habit of reading staff comments before
Oh,
commissioners
all right.
comment.
Yeah, I was going to ask them at some point, but if you want to do it now, then that
I
would,
think it might be easier just because this is kind of a tricky one.
yep.
So I will just read what was submitted. Joe Cornish, BLC Director of Design Review, BLC Architect, myself, Chelsea Blanchard, met with Maureen Kavanaugh of PAL and a member of the Opera House team on site on April 3rd, 2025. The proponent proposed changes to the existing signage to include digital sign. I won't repeat all that because you've just heard it. During the site visit, the BLC staff provided comments to the proponent. The proponent was cautioned that the proposed work was, as described, would be in conflict with the signage guidelines of the study report, referring to numbers 8, 9, 10, and 11. Staff commented that the proposed work, as described, would not be able to move forward. Staff offered alternatives such as adjusting the lighting scheme to better direct uplighting to the existing banners. In past applications, the BLC has worked with the Opera House on applications for signage and marquee improvements, which did increase the theater's street presence. BLC believed that the signage allowed in the past is at a maximum of the threshold of what can be done on this building for signage, according to the study report. For the error of the building, In the past, during considerable preservation efforts, which Albert mentioned, the intent of that team was to bring the building back to its original design, the Lamb design. The applicants could consider options, including but not limited to the following. Bring the facade treatment back to the 1940s era by reinstalling some of the vertical marquees that were shown earlier. Previously, there were box signs with bulb lighting. Historic photographs could inform the design. This may require changes to other parts of the facade, however. The BLC staff encourages the applicant to make a clear application which expresses a particular error of the building. A modern LED screen with moving image on a rectangular banner is not a historically accurate intervention for this Beaux-Arts building. Uplighting and lighting projected onto the facade is temporary and reversible while providing the light that the applicant seeks for their building. Similarly, projected imagery and wording could be projected onto the facade or onto static banners that wouldn't require changing. And then the summary is retain the existing vertical banner sign as is and uplight, potentially digitize the front portion of the marquee. And
Okay.
I'm not going to go through all of the study report language, but it's in the staff comments that we sent
Yes.
you guys.
Yep. Okay.
Go ahead, David. Thank you.
Great. So what I trying to understand is your proposal is for taking the banner, the nylon or whatever they're made of now,
Yeah.
and installing digital, a solid digital panel? Is that what we're talking about? That would be of the same size as the banner is now, or is this yellow and red outline the
It would
size?
be slightly, and Maggie can chime in, but it'd be slightly larger relative to the sign of the existing banner, I think, in order to operate correctly.
Right.
But
Okay.
from a thickness perspective, if you look at the image on the right, obviously it's going to be thicker than the banner, but it's not going to be significantly thicker. It's really the ability, yeah, well, you guys know how blade signs work. It's the ability to be able to see it up and down the street, obviously. So it would be approximately, and again, we don't know until we actually order these or come back to you for a presentation. We just wanted to make sure that we could actually take a next step potentially. So the yellow and red are approximations of what we think the size of the banner would be. And then the blue as well on the right one, which is really looking at the marquee. I think the thing to, from our perspective, to focus on somewhat is that you're taking a very narrow look at the facade right now. If you step back and think of some of those broader images that you saw a few minutes ago, we don't think it's significantly impactful to the Lamb facade. And if you look straight on as you are in the right image, even if these signs are 6 inches wide from a size perspective, as you look at them, you're still going to experience the facade in its totality versus going back to something that would more be like the box signs or the Keith era vertical sign that was on there.
Right. So I guess what I'm trying to understand now is in terms of what the new look would be with if we were to go with these digital signs. Are you going to be able to fasten it similarly where you've got this sort of attachment at the top and an attachment at the bottom, and then there's this, it's pulled away from the facade, the rest of the length of the banner, so that it feels like it's a banner suspended between two horizontal
There are many options, but yes, we could certainly be able to set it off the facade and attach it very much the same way. And I
Yeah.
think, Maggie, that was our intention as we move forward to have something that is almost like an operable banner from that perspective.
Yes, that's
Right.
correct. Yes.
And so technically we could say that it's a temporary solution even. I mean, it could be taken off and
It's
reversed.
reversible. I mean, it's 100% reversible,
Yeah.
just as reversible as the solutions that are
Without
on
much
right now.
scarring to the building and
Correct.
such.
Yes.
Yeah. So I understand the whole, because I was on the commission when this theater was being restored. So I remember that there was a discussion about these banners on the side. Originally, the desire was to have one banner obviously in the middle, and because of the architecture, that was going to be completely disrupt the architecture. So it was decided to have these two smaller banners off to the sides. I don't believe there was any discussion of having it be digitized. I don't even think
Oh, yeah, it wasn't really
digitization,
available back
yeah, it
then.
wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
all right. So given that, now I just want to get quickly understand now what you're proposing for the main marquee here, the canopy there that's there. What we're looking at on the left, you've got this sort of smallish sign that's on the side panel. Is that what was your proposal for what you were
It is, so on the right-hand side within those blue, it's to digitize the front of the sign.
all
Uh,
right, but how
so
much
that
of that marquee design are we gonna still see the design of it, the shape, the sort of
I, s-
hump?
I don't think we have and Maggie, you can chime in, but I don't think we have a 100% answer at this very moment. I think our goal would be to have the shape remain the same to some degree. We just have to understand how the digitization would work. So the
Yeah,
devil's in the details, and that's something we'd obviously bring back to you. But the
yeah.
intention is for this to be digitized, much like the Box Center, Wang Center sign that you saw earlier.
Yes. Okay. So I mean, I think certainly the signs on the two sides of the canopy here, those look like they can certainly be made larger and fill the space that's available for something like a digital sign in a more appropriate way. In other words, make it more rectangular, but still have it fit in to so that the
Mhm.
design of the canopy is still reading. It's not covering up any of the architectural sort of details of the canopy. So it wouldn't make it a whole lot bigger, but it would make it longer probably, if you stretched it out. And I don't think it should turn the corner either. Now for the front, where we're looking at the Boston Ballet, obviously that is, that is
And
not.
that's the static, the Boston Ballet is a static, Maggie, right? That's always there essentially.
Yes,
That,
okay.
yeah,
And
No,
so is that
sorry,
what,
it's
not
not
always
always
there,
there.
but it
No.
is
It's
static,
the-
right?
all right, so I mean, I think if anything is done there in terms of digitization, I think it would need to follow what we're looking at as far as the black portion of that facade. I think it needs to follow the curve, everything about it. But so that is not lost, that design style, that sort of architectural style.
Understood.
And I think I think that could be done to bring it up to standards. Now, is this going to be something that's constantly changing where you're going to be doing advertising for future shows and such? So it will be a constantly changing readout?
No, our goal is just to have it filled with the upcoming productions
Yeah, okay, okay.
or the current
Um,
productions that are
So, and
in.
this is and again, Maggie, that's to reduce a lot of the changeover issues that you
Yes.
have at the moment with the static
Right.
signs, correct?
okay, and my last question was, was there any other options that you looked at? Besides what we're looking, you're proposing to us now the essentially digital readouts that are.
Yeah, I mean, I think, from an option perspective, to be frank, there aren't that many options. I
Yeah.
think with digital signage, the biggest option is relative to the staff recommendation would be try to change the lighting
Yeah.
to some degree.
Yeah.
It just feels like in order for the lighting to work effectively, you'd actually need larger banners.
Yes.
If you had larger banners, we don't think it would be the most positive thing, and it still requires the same permitting and change out and all the other things that we have issues
Mhm.
with at the moment.
All right, so I think
David,
I
could
mean,
I just ask a quick clarifying question? Because I
yes.
didn't understand this before. The 4 foot by 2 inch wide is how much larger than the existing? On the banner side, sorry.
So you're talking that they're
Maggie,
proposing.
The
what are
red
the
and the yellow,
yeah, Maggie,
yeah.
what are the
Yeah.
existing banners again?
Yeah.
Those are the existing measurements of the banners,
Okay.
which we're looking to be very close to.
I also just want to add a clarification. The red and the yellow are only to indicate, the red indicates the exterior face, the yellow indicates the interior face, as in what you are looking at. Those do not represent the dimensions.
All right, I think that's key.
Okay, thank
I
you.
think if we're going to make any kind of judgment here or make any kind of decision, we need to see what the size of your proposed sign is going to be versus what exists there now. How much bigger is it going to be?
We
Can
are
you
not,
answer that?
we're looking to stay within or close to what we have there now. As Mary said, we're just trying to indicate the static backlit versus the digitization.
So essentially, we would be able to find a digital sign that would be very similar in size to the Boston Ballet sign that's in the red block, for instance.
Yes.
All right.
So it'd be mounted in very similar locations, set off the building the same way,
Yeah.
and mount it very similarly with something at the top and the bottom.
All right, and then the outside of each sign and the inside of each sign will obviously be a different graphic that will be shown. Is that correct?
So the inside of both of the signs, we're looking to make them static backlit, and they'll
Oh.
just maintain Citizens Opera House. They will not
I
be
see.
changing.
Okay.
The external sides, the outside sides, will change based upon the production and tenant that's in-house.
All right, I see. So I'm going to pass this on to the other commissioners. First of all, I do want to, is a little housekeeping here. I forgot to mention Kathy Kotaris. Kotaris is one of the staff members for the BLC. And also, I think I saw Allison Putinis, and it looked like she was representing the Fenway News. So I just wanted to bring that out, that she's also on the call. All right, so I think I'd like to hear what the other commissioners have to say about it. And I heard the staff's comments. I'm very much in favor of modernization of this as much as possible and maximizing the sort of presence of what's going to be the productions that are going to be here. I think I'm feeling that if this could be every bit as close to the size of what we've got here now, and even emulate the sort of design, the way it's attached to the building and the feel of it as being a stationary banner, if you will, but with digitization on it. I right now leaning towards not thinking that that's a bad thing. But I certainly am open to what the others have to say. We've got who do we have on the call here? Justine, Brad, and Jeff. So any of you would like to weigh in at this point?
I guess I could. This is Jeff.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. The compound curve sign on the canopy, that's currently backlit now, right?
Yes.
All right. So that changes illumination as whoever's doing that right now. But right now, I think Boston Ballet in white that's the only thing that's really illuminated there now.
Right, but there was a photo earlier. I don't know who's doing the slides, but you can see when there was a production called
Yep.
Shucked, it was much brighter.
Mm,
I'm very
yes.
familiar with it. I walk by here about 4 times a day and at nighttime. I do have to say that the unique position of the facade on the end of Avenue de Lafayette is spectacular at nighttime. The sharp uplighting on the white facade is just monumental, and I think it's a beacon for customers who are mainly parking at the Avenue de Lafayette parking garage, walking down towards the Opera House. And I think because of that setup now, I think your facade is singular in I think in its elegance compared to I think the colorful lights of the context surrounding you. And I'm fearful that colorizing this too much, you may lose that elegance. Because I think the rest of the street has sort of this more of a profane quality to it. And your facade with the white, wedding cake sort of decoration is really standing out as singular and just beautiful. So I'm a little bit leery on how much we activate this thing to compete with the neighbors.
I don't know if we would activate it to compete. I think there certainly could be a discussion and even a test of the lumens, the output of these signs.
Yeah.
I think anybody that's, to your point, Jeff, anybody that's walked up there at night and seen the Opera House and it's it's white terracotta, I think they've done a great job of backlighting it itself. It doesn't exactly help from a production perspective, but I hear what you're saying. I don't think we're looking to do anything gaudish or over the top. I
Mhm.
think the goal would be to have these activated in a way that adds to but does not detract from the facade from that perspective.
Well, that's good. I wanted to ask, my next question was it sounds like you want to create more business by having a more active sign. But don't most customers purchase their tickets online months in advance without really being or walking by the street? I don't think there's really a box office you can buy tickets.
Well, I think so. Maggie can speak to this part. It's not just just to reiterate what we said in the slide deck. It's not just the idea of the promoting the next shows, which is very important. It's also the fact that there is just so much manual labor and permitting involved, to be honest, in moving these blade signs, that it just creates a lot of stress and unnecessarily expenditure for the folks at the Opera House to be able to change those signs out and get them permitted all the time, get a lift out there, do all the things necessary. I don't know, Maggie, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, we do have a very active box office. We're open 7 days a week when we're in production. And we do have walk-ups, student rush tickets, and people purchasing, especially tourists, who are here near the Common and come down looking to see a show. So it's definitely an active part of our business model.
Mm.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm also two things to add a little bit to Jeff's comment about I mean, whatever is decided here, if this goes the way of digital, we could certainly suggest to tame down the amount of color and animation that would be appearing or occurring here, just to not have it be so gaudy. And I think the idea of you're looking to not just necessarily promote the show that's playing at the time at the moment, but rather, and I see this all the time when I, go walk down Tremont Street and I go by the theaters there, I'll see an advertisement for something, say in July. It's now that's going to be coming up in September, or even as much as next year, and I'll see a performer that I want to see. So I keep that in mind, so to speak. So it's a way of forecasting what's upcoming, which I like that idea. And I also want to make one last comment too before we go on to the others. I remember when this was discussed about putting these banners here, and in as much as the street that is perpendicular to the facade, that is the basically the shot to the right there. That is my iconic shot. However, when you walk down the street, and I knew this was going to happen, but the banners completely obstruct the facade. You don't see the facade at all as you're walking down the sidewalk until you get really on top of it. So whether it's banners or digital signage, it's going to disrupt the view of the facade. So I just wanted to add that in. So okay, Brad and Justine, if you could weigh in.
May I go, Justine?
Absolutely.
Sure, thanks. Jeff Haney, I appreciate the context that you started to provide, because I worry that the applicant is in danger of sort of losing the forest for the trees. In trying to be persuasive that everyone else has bright lights and we need bright lights too. Everyone else does not have this building. And if you over animate this building, you lose the resource that you have. You will dull the jewel that you are. The Paramount does not have a remarkable building. It has a remarkable sign. You guys have a remarkable building. And I think the study report, even if it's written in a time before we understood what LEDs were, it's also written in a time as was recently discussed before we understood that advertising on a building was not really meaningful to a building's operating profit, as it is not anymore. I think if you over animate signage on this building, you lose the building. I mean, not literally, but you lose the beauty of this building, and it's one of the most beautiful buildings in Boston. I cannot imagine any circumstance personally where I would think replacing banners, which are an 1/8 inch thick, less than 1/16 inch thick, and move in the wind, and already block the facade, with 6-inch thick illuminated box signs is a good idea. I think it's not a good idea. We got a little conflicting information tonight about whether they're going to be bigger or smaller and how they're going to be mounted, but I think regardless, I don't think whatever you put in place of that's 6 inches thick and illuminated, internally illuminated and potentially animated, or I forget the word you guys use, digitized or something, moving images, does any favors to this building at all. I don't think the banners themselves do any favors to this building at all. So.
Yeah, and I just want to respond to that from the perspective that there was a suggestion from staff to go back to a different period. This is the most uncovered this building has ever been historically, by far. And so we could put a giant box sign up here like was there historically. We could go vertical right up the middle of the building, and it would be in keeping with the historic character of what was here before. We don't want to be gaudy. We just want to be able to do something that's reasonable relative to the operation of the space. And I don't think there are many other things that can happen to this facade. But if you look at those historic images, you rarely see the facade, to be honest. It just isn't well positioned.
But we have chosen in the past, and the proponents or the previous people who represented the building chose a period of significance. And I don't think it's easy to redo that. With regard to the marquee, there's been some conflicting testimony about whether the sign that on the screen right now says Boston Ballet is always there or not always there. If it's always there, then I don't really understand what the trouble is. I think we always need to keep in mind that LED signs, if they're not illuminated, are just black and sort of a void. So they need to be illuminated day and night. And so there's a brightness to them that competes with the brightness of this white terracotta. So I'm even reticent about LED signs on the compound curve where it says Boston Ballet. If we came to an agreement overall where there was LED where it says Boston Ballet, I totally think it has to be within the confines, within and conforming to the confines of that marquee, of that compound curved shape, in both plan and sort of side elevation. I also think you should replace the side LED signs with something of the same pitch that you would propose for the front. Those side LED signs look pretty dated when I see them in terms of sort of their pixelization. And the sign, if we're looking at the left image, the sign that's above the LED sign, what is that?
You talking about the white sign that's popping
Yeah.
above the marquee?
Yeah, what is the sign that's been added to the top of the marquee?
You can go ahead, Maggie, and speak.
It's a stagnant backlit. I believe it says Lexus Broadway in Boston. And I just want to clarify that the front of the marquee is changed out whenever a new production comes in. So we just had Back to the Future, and that had a Back to the Future signage. We have the Wiz upcoming, and that marquee will reflect that the Wiz is coming. With the ballet, it's too cost prohibitive for them to change out for every production that they're presenting. So they just have an evergreen sign for winter experience, spring experience. You know, they just have one sign as opposed to marketing their individual productions.
Right.
So apologies if that wasn't clarified.
No, I think we've understood that from photos, but there was conversation about something different. And then do you imagine that the sign that currently is saying Boston Ballet, if it were LED, and I guess the banners, if they were to be LED, and I would not call them banners once they're LED, the box signs once they're LED, you know, you've talked about sort of expense and the ease of changing the message at a keyboard, which is understandable. Are you imagining that you would simply put up a new static image, or are you imagining moving images?
I believe we're just looking for static images. We're looking to replace what's currently there.
So you would commit to not having sort of animated graphics on these?
No, we have animated graphics on the sides, and that's enough for right now. We're not looking to we're looking to have just the static LED digitization.
So I'm just gonna throw this out there, Brad, that the way the study report is written is complicated in terms of us being able to, the BLC being able to like regulate what is printed or shown
Mm-hmm.
on a sign. And I don't think we have the staff to keep up with each change of an LED
Right.
production and whether or not it's static or moving image. I thought that the last application that had the small rectangular signs on the side, I thought those were static when they got approved, and
I thought they were too.
they are not. So I think that's a slippery slope there.
Okay. So I'll wrap up because I do want to hear from Justine, and we're running close to 8 minutes to go.
Yeah.
But I'm in a little bit of a different position from David. I can't imagine big box signs that are thick and heavy looking doing anything but detracting from this facade. And if there were to be LEDs on the front portion of the marquee, I think you need to update the side portion as well, and you need to come to us with a lot more detail on it.
Okay. Thank you. Justine, do you have you want to weigh
Yeah.
in?
Sure. So just looking at time, I don't want to repeat others' comments. I would say that I'm very aligned in um, what Brad was just mentioning. I think that if we are looking at just digitizing the marquee, that could be reasonable, but that the banners above, you know, set it apart compared to its neighbors, and that the digitized signs to replace the banners wouldn't be appropriate. And again, for many of the reasons that Jeff and Brad already mentioned, so I don't need to really repeat that.
Okay. All right. And just a clarification, is this a advisory or is this going to be?
Yeah, from our perspective, we were looking for advisory.
right.
Obviously, we don't have all the details because
Yes.
we didn't want to go
So-
through and spend the effort.
But you're not here as an advisory, so I mean,
No.
what that would be a continuance.
Wait, is that true, Chelsea? That is
That's
not
true.
officially
Yeah,
advisory?
Yeah, we don't bring things to the commission, to the full commission for advisory unless they are, in staff's opinion, approvable, they're getting there, they're getting towards an approvable status. So this was an actual design review.
All right.
Joe,
because
go ahead. I'm sorry if you want.
Yeah, I'll just say, yeah, it's been advertised and scheduled as a design review application. So I think the options would be, Albert and Mary, you could withdraw this. You could agree to a continuance, or the commission. I mean, there are other options, but you could deny
No,
without prejudice, or
We'd be
So-
happy with the continuance to come back with more information.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, because I think even if we say we did go with digital sign banner or replacement for the banners, this is not nearly enough information anyway for us to come up with a decision. So you would have had to come back anyway.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, I guess I mean I heard the comments and the beauty of the building, et cetera, and I'm all for that. But I'm also for modernization, and because when these the signage and such was being considered here, LED wasn't even a thing. So it wasn't, and LEDs have become an incredibly important part of theater districts in terms of for creating excitement and also information. So I'm not going to say that I agree that these should remain as banners. I think I would have liked to have seen more information about how you can make these digital signage become as thin and innocuous as possible and have them feel like they are somehow a thin, and not they're going to be banners, but something that would not be so disruptive in terms visually. So I don't know, I guess well, we first of
I
all
think
open to public comment too, right?
Right, you need to open to public comment, and also, I didn't say this, but the staff recommendation was to deny this particular application without prejudice.
Right.
How is that different than a continuance, just technically?
you
In
would
my
have to.
opinion, yeah, you'd have to redo your application anew. It would be a new application with the proper information.
A continuance would be then they would allow to continue with this presentation. To me, it sounds as though if it was deny without prejudice, you're denying them the notion of digitized banners or digitized signage. And so they would have to start with something else. Is that kind of?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, based on where this discussion's going, you don't have enough information to make a decision. So you'd want them to further explore the thickness of
All right.
laid signs
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and continue it for that.
Yes. All right. So I think in the end, after we do public comment, I think it would be good if we can be a little bit more specific on some of the things that we want to
Would be
see.
very helpful, please. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's open this up, and if I can get the script up for that, that would be great.
So Mary, I'm going to take the share back. And of course I've closed it. Hold on.
No pressure.
Oh, I think I messed up the share anyway. Hold on. There. And I can make it bigger, sorry.
Okay, that's the agenda.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Okay. Let me move this
Oh,
up.
also Angela Ward Hyatt has just joined, and
Kirsten Hoffman.
Okay.
So, oh, it's because of the 6 o'clock time. I'm sorry. Also Sarah Lawton staff is here as well.
Oh, all right. All right. So members of the public will now have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on the proposed design. Comments will be timed by staff, limited to 2 minutes apiece. And we ask that you not repeat previous comments. So to offer a comment, please raise your hand via the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use the platform, you can press *9 to raise your hand, or you can send your questions to staff via email at blc@boston.gov. No comments, huh?
I don't see any emails coming in.
All right. Well, I was curious about what how the public would receive this, but so all right. So let's just quickly go before we close this out. If we tell the full commission that we are going, it could be either a continuance, where we would then, and I think with a continuance, we can ask that you refine maybe a little bit more detail what you're hoping for to see here in terms of digitization of the banners, or what would be alternatives to the digital signs and how you can improve upon the banners to make them more visible, having them be illuminated or what. I don't know what other technologies are out there. And then I guess the other one is we seem to approve of the digitization of the marquee, both in the front compound curve, as long as it stays within the envelope of what was shown as the dark black, and not bleed out beyond that border.
I can't say that is true for me.
Yeah, no, I don't.
I am open to receiving more information, but I don't approve of it.
Such as what? I mean, what do you mean by more information?
Such as how it fits within the shape of the marquee, what the pitch of the graphic DPI is relative to the one that's there, whether or not it's going to include the side, whether or not they'll commit to static images only.
Oh yeah, all of that.
What the illumination of it is at day and night, and how bright is that relative to the ambient background.
Yes. All of that would
And
be.
I'm prepared to think that the answer after having received all that is it's not a good idea. So I don't
Well,
want to say, as you just did, we approve.
well, all right. So but we need to see then more information. If
We
it's
will
going
consider with more information.
yeah, if it's going to be LED, then how does that work with the existing architecture of that marquee? Both for the front and also the two side signs. All right, so that could be a continuance, or we could say deny without prejudice, and then have them start as if this was a new
So
application.
David, I think you need to consult your commissioners on what the motion should be.
Yeah,
Because I
that's
think
what
you're speaking a little bit more singularly than the rest of them did. So why don't you suggest a motion?
Well, all right. I think it should be a continuance, basically, to get more details flushed out that would allow for a little further information on the digital proposed banners, if you will, and what improvements could be made to a banner system without having the LED, because it looks like we're both, we're on the fence for both of them, or at least some of us are. And then more detail on how the marquee would be revised to house this new LED systems. So I think it would be
That sound like the right motion to Brad, Justine, and Jeffrey?
Yes, I
I
agree
would
with
agree.
that. Yep.
Great.
Good for me.
all
Awesome.
right. Great. Thank you.
Now we have to
Oh, we
do
have to do
all
the
these admin.
Yeah, there's 6 of them, I think there were.
Yeah, so if we can read them in now, that would be
Yep.
great. And then
Okay.
we'll carry
So
on.
these are administrative reviews or applications that came before the BLC staff, and they were approved by the staff based on their conformance to the standards and criteria. So I will read all 6 of them in, and then we will take a vote on them before the full commission. So the first is application 25.0976, and it's at 1925 Commonwealth Avenue. And this is is this Aberdeen?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And it's regarding upgrade existing cellular equipment on rooftop. Equipment will be reconfigured, but utilize existing vacant pipe mounts currently installed on the roof, facade, and ballast, and hardware to match the color of the wall mounted tube. Next, 25.0992. This is at 193 Salem Street, the Old North Church, and it's regarding the Old North Church will install a new slate roof with flashing downspouts and soffits. Details and mock-ups will be provided to BLC staff. Next, 25.1027 at 1 Franklin Park Road, Franklin Park Zoo, installation of new yurts not visible from the public way, installation of 2 30-foot diameter yurts on the ground of Franklin Park Zoo. Next, 25.1050, and this is at 160 Federal Street, the BATTERYMARCH building, and the work includes limited exterior wall repairs at the 2nd and 21st levels, 2nd to the 21st levels, including but not limited to localized removal and replacement of cracked and displaced brick, treatment of underlying corroded steel, replacement of corroded steel lintels, repair of damaged, whoops, I've got to move this out of the way because it's blocking some of there we go. Okay, treatment of underlying corroded steel, replacement of corroded steel lintels, repair of damaged cast stone, windowsill units, lintel coating, and replacement of joint sealant throughout the area of work. Next, 25.1053, this is 280 Charles Street. This is on the Esplanade, and it's regarding new post signage in 2 locations at the spray pool. And the last is 25.1054. It's at 12 South Street, the Lauren Greeno House, and it's regarding replace 4 short sections of shallow wooden gutters with replacement extruded aluminum Dura gutters having a very similar profile to the existing. The replacement of Dura gutter OG-5 type gutters will have a very similar profile and outside dimensions as the Boston profile gutter. Okay. So when we get to the full commission, we'll ask for a motion to approve those.
I do want to correct something. Someone from Old North Church reminded me that there are no soffits at the church, so they won't be replacing the soffits.
Okay. So noted.
All right, are we ready to move on to the business hearing?
We are.
All right, thank you, everybody. My name is Brad Walker. I'm the chair of the Boston Landmarks Commission, and I'm calling to order this meeting of the Boston Landmarks Commission. July 22nd, 2025 at 6:07 p.m. Present the last time I looked are Commissioners Jacques, Freeman, Orlando, Baraducci, Mac Jones, Hoffman, Gagno, Ward Hyatt, Haney, and myself. Is anyone else here that I missed?
Brad, can you have the commissioners raise their hands so I can ensure that?
Of course. I see Commissioner Jacques has raised
Yep,
her hand.
great.
There we go, a few others.
Thank you.
All right, and while we're letting them in, present also from the Boston Landmarks Commission staff, our staff architect Chelsea Blanchard, Director of Design Review Joe Cornish, Elizabeth Sherva, who is Deputy Director of the Office of Historic Preservation, Kathy Kotaridis, I think is here, Director of the Office of Historic Preservation, and Sarah Lawton, Preservation Assistant. Anyone else on staff that I might have missed?
The commissioners can lower their hands now. Thank you.
All right. In accordance with, first I should do the rest of this. You can participate in this hearing by going to the Zoom meeting link posted in our agenda at zoom.us/j/986922000856 or by calling 301-715-8592 and entering the meeting ID 896922000856. You may also submit written comments to us via email at blc@boston.gov. In accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, including the March 28th, 2025 amendment extending the suspension of these provisions until June 30th, 2027, we are conducting this meeting online. To ensure public access to the deliberations of the Boston Landmarks Commission, the public may access this call through telephone and video conferencing. This hearing is being recorded. All conversations between commissioners should be audible to the public in attendance until the hearing has been adjourned. If there are any media or elected officials present, I would like you please to raise your hand at this time and then identify yourself with your name, title, and affiliation. Let's see, Allison. Can Allison be unmuted, or I'll just announce that Allison Poltinas is here from the Fenway News.
Thank you. Thanks.
Anybody else, media or elected officials? Seeing none. I think at this point, I usually generally briefly read in the agenda in case there's anyone here that thinks they're here for a matter that's not going to be on the agenda. Tonight's agenda is quite brief. We're going to start with a review and approval of the meeting minutes from the last two Landmarks Commission meetings. And then, as we typically do on the second meeting of the month, we'll have a review and vote by commissioners on applications or matters that were heard earlier this evening by the Design Review Subcommittee. And then we just move on to staff comments with a projected 7 o'clock adjournment. We might even get to that faster. So at this time, I'm going to recognize David Baraducci, who is chair of the Design Review Subcommittee. Muted, David.
Okay. Yes, we had the one application, and it was the 539 Washington Street, the Keith Memorial Theater, otherwise known as or previously known as the Boston Opera House. And they came before us with requests to change the banner signs that are currently on the building and change them out to an LED type of system. And there was other requests for digitizing the existing marquee. Bottom line was there's a lot more information that they needed to provide us with before a full decision could be made on the application, so we asked for a continuance, or we're asking for a continuance. Does that get a motion, Chelsea?
Yep, so now you read your motion and you guys can start. I think we were supposed to start with
I
the
know, I'm sorry.
meeting minutes, but we'll
I'll get back to that.
No, it's fine. We'll flip it. So if you can do the motion and vote for this project, the continuance, and then also a motion and vote for the admin approval items.
All right, so could one of the
I can second. I
and-
can second the motion for continuance.
I
All
think
right.
you need a first. Who made the first? Oh, David, you made
Oh,
the
David
first.
makes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just count commissioners, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, I'm gonna ask Commissioner Gagno, please, to not vote. Everyone else present, please do vote. I'll start with Commissioner Jacques.
Yes.
Commissioner Freeman.
Yes.
Commissioner Orlando.
Yes.
Commissioner Baraducci.
Yes.
Commissioner Mac Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Commissioner Ward Hyatt.
Yes.
Commissioner Haney.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Then we can move on to the administrative reviews.
Okay, yes, there were 6 administrative reviews that I previously read into the to the record, and those were the 6 applications that came before staff, and they had accepted those applications. So the motion would be to accept the staff's approval of those 6 applications.
I'll second that approval.
Thank you both. Again, I need one commissioner to not vote, and that's going to be Commissioner Mac Jones. Start with Commissioner Jacques.
Yes.
Commissioner Freeman.
Yes.
Commissioner Orlando.
Yes.
Commissioner Baraducci.
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Commissioner Gagno.
Yes.
Commissioner Ward Hyatt.
Yes.
Commissioner Haney.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Now we will move back to where I was supposed to start. Commissioners have received in their packets earlier the meeting minutes. We'll do them one at a time. First from June 24th, 2025. Were there any comments on the June 24th meeting minutes?
Nope.
Hearing none, I would ask for a motion to accept as submitted.
I'll make that motion.
Well, Commissioner Orlando, in a second, please.
I'll second Jeffrey Haney.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoffman, if you would refrain from voting, please. Commissioner Jacques.
Yes.
Commissioner Freeman.
Yes.
Commissioner Orlando.
Yes.
Commissioner Baraducci.
Yes.
Commissioner Mac Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Gagno.
Yes.
Commissioner Ward Hyatt.
Yes.
Commissioner Haney.
Yes.
And I vote yes. And we'll move on to the July 8th meeting minutes. Were there any comments, corrections on those?
I think there was just one highlighted statement on 19 Kenton. It looks like maybe we're missing the full statement.
Okay, we can look at that. Thanks, Justine. And we'll.
Yeah, I think I had actually dropped off the call right before that. So it's talking about commissioner comments.
Mhm.
I know that we had some during the previous portion.
Right.
So I think we just have to infill that piece.
Okay.
I
no
can
problem.
work on that.
All right, so I think we'll continue that until our next meeting and make sure we have a full record there.
Okay.
And then the next item up would be staff updates. So I would at this time recognize Elizabeth Sherva.
Thank you. Next Boston Landmarks Commission hearing will be on Tuesday, August 12th. And I do believe we have a few agenda items, but it should be pretty light load. I'd also like to note that I will be rolling out a new way to RSVP to BLC meetings. I will be sending a RSVP tracker in the next few days, and I just request that you all RSVP for meetings within the new document, and it'll be forward-looking out until the end of the year. And I ask that we put that all together on this RSVP tracker. A couple people had asked me, had conflicts, and they were hoping, that they wouldn't be needed, and I was unable to tell them exactly what our numbers were like. So we're going to try this tracker through the rest of the year and see if we can accurately forecast our commissioners and quorums.
Elizabeth, did you say August 12th is our next meeting?
That is correct.
Are we sure?
Oh, wait.
No. I don't think so.
Would it
Yeah,
be
I think that's right. That's the second Tuesday.
Yeah, that is correct. It is the
Uh-huh.
second Tuesday.
29th is is one of the Tuesdays, and then the 5th, and then the 12th.
Yep, so the second Tuesday is the 12th, and the fourth Tuesday is the 26th.
Yep, that's right.
Okay. Thanks, Liz.
Yeah, no problem.
Any commissioners have anything that they would like to add to the meeting before we move to an adjournment? Hearing none, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Gagno, and a second, please.
I'll second, David.
David, and that's a voice vote. Let's say all in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, I think we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Good night,
Thanks so
everybody.
much.
Bye, everybody.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
Brad.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Dave.